days.
Right. Who wants to give a recap of what happened in the last session?
Captain.
Yeah, Captain.
Captain.
Do I even remember what happened in the last session?
It wasn't that long ago.
Well, we survived, just about.
Last time on Star Trek Invictus. So if I recall correctly, our lovely crew were on our way to rendezvous with the Starship Invictus. We were in a runabout, going at a nice cruise speed, couldn't go too quickly. And then we picked up a distress call. I think we were the closest thing in range, so of course we had to go and investigate. But what we found was not what we were expecting. So it seemed that the ship that was generating the distress calls was actually faking them. There were no life signs aboard. And then, suddenly, uncloaked, a colossal ship came and started blasting. So we made our way into a nearby asteroid field, where our lovely commander did some daring piloting to get us around those asteroids without being smashed to bits. And we managed to lose them long enough for our lovely lieutenant commander to make the necessary repairs for us to jump out of there. So we narrowly escaped, and from the readings we got from their ship, we could tell it was powered by an artificial... is it a singularity?
It is a singularity,
star?
yes. It is a
Singularity. Which indicates to us that it must, or perhaps was, the work of the Romulans. Dun dun dun!
Love it.
And there you go. That is what happened. It was a taster session for people to get used to the rules. And now they have arrived at the at Narendra Station. The lovely Narendra Station. Oh, I've pressed the wrong fucking
Can't
button.
seem to refresh mine on the screen.
What have you done to your thing? Because I can't. You managed to update your. Oh, there we go. It just needed to update. I needed to log back in again. Right. So you can see at the bottom of the page, they are the characters that they are playing, and there's their character little images there. This is Narendra Station. Why has that done that? That is poor. I don't know.
It takes more than 3 seconds.
Oh, I don't know actually. I don't know. There we go. Right. Okay. So.
If in doubt, I am your lovely Roll20 expert.
You are indeed. I've hardly ever used it. So.
It's a bit like a mushroom.
Oh, ship.
I mean, one could call it a mushroom. It feels like it should have like a... I know it's the wrong series, but like a blade at the end of it. It feels like a handle.
It's the the Excelsior class is nicknamed the Pizza Cutter. Which I only found out the other day, and I was like, "That's amazing." Don't worry, I am actually putting these out for a reason. There we go. Oops, that is not what I wanted to do. Okay, why is that not doing anything? Well, screw you. Right, okay. Sorry about this. I will get going in a second. We're missing one photo.
Remember how to play.
Listen, right. I was going to introduce the next bit of rules, but I am going to wait until we are a bit further into it, because I don't want you to try and learn too much too quickly. So I'm just going to keep the simple to the basic dice rolls for now. Right, that's what I'm looking for.
Simultaneously, yay and or boo.
Yeah, I mean there are a lot more rules to learn, but I don't want to overwhelm everybody by making you learn too much at once.
Boo and also yay.
Yay.
It's not that the rules are particularly complicated, it's just that I'd rather you get to grips with the basic core mechanic before I start adding more complications. Why is that? Oh, that's because I've not gone in the right place. So, oops, what's going on there? Oh, who is Is that? Oh, well, welcome, Dynamite Penguin.
That's me.
Is it? I did not know that was you.
No, I didn't realise I wasn't following your channel.
How rude. That's. Alright, come on, load up.
You did recognise Penguin, mate.
I did think it might have been you, but I didn't want to assume. Okay, so Captain Prax, would you like to give us your little intro speech? I presume you've got something prepared. So when I start the music, you just kick it in. Are we good?
Yeah, let's see how this goes.
All right, here we go.
Should we be able to hear it yet?
Can you not hear it?
I
can hear it.
Oh, what have I done? What is he playing through? Discord?
No, it's
Yeah, hear him through Discord. Yeah, don't listen to it on Twitch.
Should it come through Roll20? Oh, Twitch! I am not watching the stream.
No. Listen, it's you can hear it through Discord. I can't hear it through Twitch.
I've just turned it off because you didn't hear it. So you should hear it through the for fuck's sake, through your web page.
Oh, Roll20?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe I have the sound turned off.
Such a beautifully anticlimactic moment.
It was meant to be. It was meant to be your moment, and you've ruined it for everybody.
Oh no!
It's a good start.
Right. Have you got your web page playing?
No, I'm looking for it.
Right. Well, if I just put something on.
Was this my jukebox? Is it the jukebox that's supposed
Yes.
to come in? Oh, I can see it now. Yeah, I can hear that.
Right.
Maybe it's because I wasn't on the right tab or something? I don't know.
Okay, right. Take 2, everybody.
Space. Our war-torn home. These are the voyages of the starship Invictus. Its current mission, to help rebuild what was lost, to begin to heal the scars of battle, to light the way out of the darkness. Directed by Jonathan Frakes.
Welcome. So you arrive in system and you've boarded the Invictus. And oh, there's a message from one of you. There we go. Yes. Okay. So you land in the docking bay, the shuttle bay is what I'm saying. That is located on the underneath side of the vessel. And you are immediately greeted by throngs of people who are all expecting your arrival. And an Andorian sort of steps forward and sort of welcomes you all aboard, and he starts giving you the debrief. And they tell the captain that you've got a meeting with Admiral... sorry, I've got some notes somewhere. Apologise. It's Admiral April Herpert and the rest of the 14th Fleet in about an
There's
hour.
my ready room.
So they take away. They're just like they're effectively your yeomen, and they take your stuff, which you can name if you want to give a bit more of a description about this particular Andorian. But they take your bags and everything, and they take them off to your actual like stateroom. And you head off to your ready room just off the bridge, just to sort of collect yourself before you go for a meeting. You and the XO are both going to go across to the station, Narendra 3. Narendra Strait, it's not Narendra Strait, it's Narendra Strait Station. Ugh, can't speak. So this is the bridge. So like you will come up in, I don't know how much you can see on the screen. Do I have to draw on it for you to see anything?
We can see the bridge image.
Yeah. So like you just like come out through this.
Yeah.
And then if I just go, yeah, there we go. And so and on the other side of the bridge. On this side, and where's that gone? Oh, for fuck's sake. I forget I need to... So on the opposite side to this, there will be equivalent doors, and so one of those is your ready room. And it's very similar to the ready room that you've seen in Star Trek TNG, etc. Can everybody else see some static?
All of a sudden,
That's not me. Is that somebody else? I don't know why we're getting static, but we are. That's weird. Oh, it's gone. It's gone. How weird. So, and you sort of sit down and start to think to yourself about what possibly this random admiral could want from you. What are you doing, Orlanya, at this time? You've got an hour before you need to go with the captain across to the starbase.
I guess I'll be offloading my luggage and whatnot, things that I was bringing aboard. Unless the captain wants me, I will just be having a bit of a tour of the ship.
Right. So you have a quick wander around trying to locate your own stateroom. You sort of ask the computer where it is, and some nice lights come up on the side, and it sort of directs you to where you're supposed to be going. And you walk amongst the halls. These are brand new corridors. Like immediately, it's apparent everything's been completely rebuilt from. It's almost like it's just rolled out of the factory, so to speak. Right, Shoshanis, you are approached by, while you're still in the cargo, in the shuttle bay, you are approached by this individual who you've never met before. Now, you are one of the original crew of this starship, so you pretty much know about 70% of the people on here. You've never seen this individual before. And they come over to you, and they sort of, and with a very thick Australian accent, which is surprising for a Tellarite. He sort of says, he comes over and he goes and says, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do an Australian accent. No one wants to hear me try and do that. But this is, just imagine that's how he's speaking to you. He goes, I'm Chief Krav. I've been kind of acting as the chief of engineering while we wait for the new chief to take up their station. I've arranged for a meeting with all the rest of the ops and engineering team in about 2 hours. So, did you want to walk through anything before you met them? Because I understand you are the new head of that.
Operations now.
Right. Okay. So he sort of looks at you and sort of scratches his head and says, "Right. So I'll get the people ready, and you just arrive in engineering in about 2 hours' time. They'll all be expecting you. I'll whip him into shape," he says with a sly grin.
Anything in particular I should know about? Any key changes to the ship herself?
Says, "Well, I mean, I'm new to the crew myself. I just was transferred from the Thunderchild. That's one of the other ships in the 14th Fleet. She's a fine ship, but not as fine as this one. I hear she's got a real record."
She may fall, but she will always rise again.
He says, "Right, well, I'll. Do you want me to walk you anywhere or anything? I'm here to help. That's. You can tell straight away he's a non-com. He's a non-commissioned officer. His formal rank is Chief Petty Officer, and why he's in charge is a big question mark."
Walk and talk. Let's show me everything. Let's go. If you're new, it might be worth you doing it too. Let's go see what changes have been made before we talk to people.
Okay, he says, and he sort of pootles himself along, sort of like trying to keep. You can tell he's slightly shorter than you, but he acts like he's a lot shorter. Like he kind of like hurries with his steps as he walks along, and like he seems a lot smaller than he actually is. Like he's sort of condensed in on himself. Right, so Captain Prex, you and Orlania rendezvous in transport room 5 or something, and there's some random person stood there wait, because there always is. There's always a person just stood there waiting, just in case anybody wanted to go into the transport room, and they sort of nod, "Captain," as you walk in.
Pyramid.
This is presumably 2 to beam over, sir. Is it sir or is it ma'am?
My darling. Yes, please, on the double.
Energizing. And I've even got some sound effects. Let's go. If I can. There we go. And then you arrive aboard the station, and you're greeted by a very imperious-looking woman. So imagine that's them, but they're in a Starfleet uniform. And she goes, "Captain Prax. Commander
Greetings.
Orlania, I believe."
May I assume you're the Admiral?
"Yes." She
Please
looks at
lead the
you.
way.
She looks at you, sort of tries to kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Assess you. Test your metal immediately. And she kind of screws up her eyes a little bit, and then sort of says yes, and sort of just turns on her heel and sort of walks out. And you're not going far before she leads you into a like a meeting room. And stood in there is are these individuals? So just to let everybody know is that when I cast a person, this is just to give you an idea, an impression of what that person looks like. It's not, that is not specifically what they look like, but that kind of gives you an idea of how they appear. And they're all dressed in sort of like the grey duty uniforms that you would see like in the movies and so on, and in Deep Space Nine. And the Admiral sort of turns to you and goes, introduces the older gentleman, and goes, "This is Captain Roger Corbett." Points to the Japanese woman and goes, "This is Captain Hina Matsuda." And then to the Tellarite, it goes, "This is Captain Pruthi Nukes." And they all sort of like nod and sort of greet you. The Admiral invites you all to sit down, and everyone finds a seat. And she sort of stands in front of you and says, "Captain Prex, this is the 14th Fleet. Captain Roger Corbett is the captain of the Galaxy class starship, the Venture. Hina Matsuda is the captain of the Intrepid class, the Bellerophon. And the Tellarite, she shouldn't say the Tellarite, she goes, and Captain Nukes is the captain of the Thunderchild and an Akira starship. As you obviously will be well aware, all too aware, the Federation is in dire straits after the end of the Dominion War. No one fared well. The Cardassians and the Romulans particularly, but even ourselves and the Klingons all suffered great losses. The only spacefaring species that seems to have prospered from the war was the Breen, but they're so far on the other side of Federation space that we don't need to worry too much about those. The 14th Fleet has been assigned to this sector as it is the closest point between the Romulan Star Empire and the Klingon Empire. The station, was a co-manufactured venture with the Klingons when we were allies. In fact, the station was occupied by approximately 50% were Klingons, and we had a interesting relationship. But since the war and the break from the Federation, they are no longer on the station, and it is the halls are rather empty, as we're struggling to fill it. But the 14th Fleet, led by myself as the overall Commander-in-Chief, and Captain Corbett, who is the most senior person, he's the official flag chief. Flag chief, is that even a... It is now. He's the fleet captain for the 14th Fleet. You have now been attached to the 14th Fleet.
What was the Admiral's name again, sorry?
It is April Herbert.
So what will our position be within the 14th Fleet?
Well, the Akira and the Galaxy class, she says the Thunderchild and the Venture will be strict patrol and pacification, defense. The Bellerophon will be patrol and long range exploration. You will be the, and I hesitate to put this delicately, you will be the workhorse. That is the best fitting role for a Excelsior class starship. Therefore, that will be the role that you take. Any objections to this can be raised directly with Starfleet, but that is the role that you are being assigned whilst you're under my command.
I'm sure my crew will be happy to help any way they can.
I have no objections with this.
She then sort of... I got your brief about what you encountered whilst en route to the station.
Yes, I'm afraid it's quite disturbing.
I wonder if you could elaborate to the rest of the 14th Fleet captains. And they all sort of... They've remained very quiet up to now, and they sort of like all eyes turn on you as they await your explanation.
Okay, I'll relay to them what happened.
And I've already gone through that with everybody, so we're kind of... Oh, how do I bring that to the front? That's annoying. Oh, there we go. Sorry, I'm just organising things a little bit better so you can see what's going on. And somewhere behind there is... Where's the other one? I appear to have lost a starship. Where did oh, there we go. It's there. Alright, so you can now see what their respective ships are. If that helps. So you basically tell them what you encountered. Captain Nukes, the Tellarite, sort of rubs at his massive beard and goes, "So, you say it might be Romulans with a new class of starship. Do you know the approximate size of this vessel?"
Should have been captured in our readings. I'll have to check with my ensign who ran the report.
Well,
But it's approximately... And then I say the size.
so Matsuda sort of goes, "Well, the captain has only just arrived. I mean, we can't expect her to have analysed all the data herself yet, never mind debrief us fully." Corbett goes, "It would be just like the Romulans. They would be sending probes out. Their empire was hit heavily by the Cardassian War when they're prepared to strike against the Changelings and the Dominion. It worries me that they have a new class of starship so quickly. Can you tell us anything about that? Did it appear in line with such as their warbirds?"
Seemed like nothing we'd ever seen before. The computer didn't recognize it.
Matsuda sort of leans forward. "Computer, can you display the images of the ship? The unknown vessel recorded by... what was the name of your runabout? It was the Blackwater. It was the Blackwater. So
Displaying images from the Blackwater.
and up on the screen there is images of this spaceship, which I will. I've got images of. And they show what little footage you've got of it, and the sensor displays, and everything else that you've got. The Tellarite goes, he's stroking through his beard with his thick fingers. "I suspect that is approximately the size, judging by the readings they got, the size of one of the bird of preys. And you got away. How did you get away?"
It's only through the skills of my daring commander here and the speedy repairs of my lieutenant here. We managed to hide out in an asteroid field until we were ready to warp again.
Matsuda leans forward and goes, "Excellent, very cunning, impressive." Corbett goes, So, a Romulan vessel of unknown designation was presumably lurking out in the depth of space. From what I gather, they set a trap, which of course, as good Starfleet officers, you were not going to turn down, refuse assistance, so we can safely say that it was directed at the Federation. Their cloaking device, did you detect anything unusual? Presumably they were lurking with a cloaking device.
Yes, and the thing that tipped us off was discovering the fake life signs. That's when we knew something must have been wrong. It was only then that it revealed itself.
Fake life signs.
They managed to fool our senses.
So they specifically tried to fool your sense to believe there was life signs aboard the vessel.
Correct.
He looks over at Matsuda, who sort of looks it back and goes, and then she turns to you and says, so, if that's the case, then they must have been trying to take hostages? Why else fool somebody with life signs?
We can only assume so. But then we don't really know what they wanted. There's a lot of mystery around this.
Herbert goes, sort of leans, says, yes, there's too much conjecture. We can't make any decisions at this time. All we know is there is a Romulan vessel out there, possibly more than one. She turns to Matsuda. You, Matsuda, are going to take the Bellerophon. I'm going to patrol. I'm going to do sweeps around the area and any place like that. See if you can pick anything out of the ordinary. Any information would be useful. She turns to Herbert and goes, aye, ma'am. Captain Corbett and Captain Nukes. I want the Venture to stay close to the station. But I want the Akira on the move. I want you ready to be able to respond to any incursions. You're our warship in the area. Nukes sort of stops playing with his beard and goes, I think that we should go on the offensive. Move closer toward the Romulan border. Herbert goes, no. I will not entertain that at this time. I believe that any sort of action could give the Romulans a clue that we're taking this far more seriously than we want them to believe at this time. We want them to think that they can move about I object, Admiral. We shouldn't be allowing the Romulans to fly around Federation space unchecked. Crow goes, Nukes. At the moment, the Romulans know that we know that they have the ship. If it is the Romulans, we don't know for certain. The only thing that we do know is they use similar technology to the Romulans. Cloaking devices in their energies and their warp core. I think we need to be more agile in our thinking around this. So, yes, I think I support what the Admiral is saying. The Admiral sort of turns to everybody and goes, I didn't realise this was up for debate. I seem to recall that I am the Admiral here. You will do as I order. She turns to Prax. Goes, I have an mission assignment for you. I need you to take the Invictus to where is my file notes? To a system, the Anarsis system. No, it's not the Anarsis system. I'm talking bollocks. It's the I've got ahead of myself. Yes, you need to go to the Varix 3. It will be about 9 days at your cruising speed in the Invictus. They need urgent medical aid. It's a joint Tellarite and Dorian colony. It's sponsored by both of those, and it would be critical for the UFP as it stands for this to be a successful colony. The Tellarites and the Andorians are not known for their collaboration. This whole colony was designed to bring them together, harmonize the two species. It would not do for this particular colony to fail. Now, it did suffer significant damage during the Dominion War. They need a starship's resources to prop them up while they re-establish themselves. You will need to manufacture significant medical drugs and equipment while en route. You have 8 days to get there. I suggest you leave as soon as possible. The rest of you, you've been given your assignments. I'd like it if you got to them. You were all dismissed. Corbett seems to just take what she says. Says, thank you, Mom, and sort of gets up and walks out. Matsuda sort of looks at the Tellarite, and the Tellarite looks vaguely affronted. You know from Tellarite, what you know of Tellarite society is that they have a cultural background where everybody's voice can be heard. Like, they are very forthcoming with their opinions. Now, they believe in the chain of command, because of course they are our Starfleet, but they think that they should be listened to regardless of their... And he seems personally affronted, insulted by the Admiral's inability to listen to what he's got to say. And he sort of stands up, pulls down his top, and sort of walks out. Matsuda sort of stands up and sort of gestures to you, Prax, and to the commander. And sort of, I'll walk with you to the transport room, she says with a smile.
Thank you very much. Shall we be off then?
So the three of you walk down the corridor, and Matsuda sort of like breathes out, calm and relax. I won't apologise for the Admiral, but she isn't known to be overly pleasant towards people. She has a very specific manner and a way of dealing with people. I think the most polite way of saying it would be no nonsense.
It's not too uncommon among the Admiral class.
I'm
yes.
quite used to that with captains as well.
She smiles and goes, well, I tend to run my ship. I tend to be a little more friendly to my crew. After all, we have to serve together, and there's no need to stamp one's authority everywhere. However, of course, when it comes to crunch time, they know who's in charge, but at the end of the day, we are all part of the same organisation, and everybody has good ideas. You know, we won't get anywhere with just me barking orders at people. But yes, I can see that. I mean, I've spent some time with Nukes, Captain Nukes, and Captain Corbett. Corbett is old school Starfleet. You won't find a more typical officer anywhere. He listens, offers his suggestions and his own opinions where necessary. He'll fly by the seat of the pants as he needs to. I like to think that I'm somewhere in the mix of all that. I'm very interested in working with you because it's nice to see another face, or a friendly face around here, rather than... Well, you saw what they're like in there. And is this your commander? She says,
It
pointing
is,
to
yes. My number one.
I don't think I've ever met an Orion before that was in Starfleet.
There are the odd one floating about, though maybe not quite many up to my rank quite yet.
She smiles and says, well, be careful. It's our job to protect this area of space, and we're not far from the Shackleton Expanse, which is, as you know, it's an unexplored area of space that's quite dangerous. There are all kinds of sensory anomalies and unknown scientific strangeness, shall we say. So, we've done a little bit of study, but it needs a whole science team. But at this moment in time, given what Starfleet is at the moment, there isn't the time or resources to do so. So just be careful. If I were a Romulan trying to go anywhere, I would probably hide in the Shackleton Expanse. It's dangerous to do so, but if I needed a place to hide out, it's close to where the action is.
We'll certainly take that under consideration, Captain.
And she sort of leads you into the transport room and says, I look forward to working with you, and smiles. And you stand on the dais and you transport back over. So, Shoshana, you have been basically touring around like all the different stations aboard the Invictus. You've been down to engineering, you've been through the science bay and med bay and sick bay, sorry, and through some Jeffries tubes and all that business. And all the while, Chief Crav, that's Crav, C-R-A-V, not Crab, has not stopped talking. It's almost like he's nervous, but he's constantly sort of like just going, oh, and blah, 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 telling you things that you already know. Oh, this is the EPS conduit that leads to this area, and all through with his thick Australian accent. And how do you feel about that?
Okay. So just find that corner, just bring him into it. Stop going. Okay.
You've gone quiet.
Have I gone quiet? Why have I gone quiet?
There we go.
I can still hear you. Yeah.
Okay, just lean back slightly here because I lean forward a bit more. Just find a quiet corner as he's telling me things. Just going, wait, shh, just for a moment.
He stops. Yes. Lieutenant Commander.
Why are you panicking?
I'm not panicking. I'm just. Can I, look, Mom? Can I speak candidly?
Absolutely.
And he sort of like starts sort of playing with his hair and sort of tugging at his beard a bit. I'm a non-commissioned officer and I've been running the show. And then I thought I was going to get promoted. And then you turn up. I learned that you were going to be assigned. And you turn up and you know everything. And I just feel sidelined. And I wanted to try and impress you. So that, you could lean on me. Maybe I've come across as a bit too eager. But that's just the way I am.
I know a lot about this ship because I have been on this ship for the last several years. And even with refurbishments, I can still remember where everything was.
He looks deflated, and he sort of looks at you with his little black beady eyes, and I thought that you were new, like the rest of the command staff. I'm sorry for making that assumption.
It's okay. I mean, apart from Cho, I'm the only one. I am the only one who survived, and I am literally the only one still mobile. So it was an easy assumption to make.
He says, well, I don't really know too much about that. I was transferred because I put in for a transfer. I knew I was going nowhere aboard the Bellafron. And, a non-com like me is always going to be bottom of the pile on a ship like the Bellafron. But on an Excelsior class, maybe I might get noticed, is what I thought. And here I am, annoying my superior officer. It's not a good start, is it?
I mean, you're chief engineer, which used to be my job. And, I mean, I know the things you're telling me, but it is comforting that you know the things that you're telling me.
Well, I appreciate that, Mom. An old dog like me doesn't get many opportunities. Anyway, I think it's time for us to go and meet the rest of the team. And he sort of ushers you down this corridor, and you go into a turbo lift, and you go down a couple of decks, and then he sort of leads you along and into a large sort of effectively like a cargo space, and you can see there are a lot of people wearing sort of gold uniforms and blue uniforms. And he goes, well, these are the technicians. And you can see them all before you, and they all look at you expectantly. You can see there's people of all kinds of species there. There's a full range. There's lots of humans, Bolians, Caitians, Andorians, Vulcans. If you imagine there's about 50 people, and there's a good smattering of people just sort of from all kinds of walks of life, and they all look at you expectantly. And he sort of walks in and goes, team, this is the new CO, Lieutenant Commander Eva Shoshanis. And he looks at you and says, is that right? Did I get that right?
Eva Eknoshans. Close enough.
She's arrived to assume command of operations. I'm sure she's got a few words to say. And he sort of joins the throng and turns to you. It's your turn to give him a speech.
Okay, people. All of you are here because you are seasoned and capable individuals, and those of you who are not seasoned are capable. Oh, look, I'm not asking you to change well. I'm just asking you to do your best and use your brains up to a point. If you have an idea that makes these things run better, check in with someone and then go for it. Check in with someone first, though. That is kind of important. From what I know of the captain and our commander, they seem like very decent people. Don't know where you came from. I don't really care. What I want is for us to do our job, to get it done well, and to know that we have each other if any of us are struggling. Because a team that falls apart is not one that does well. A team where the individual feels stressed or incapable is not going to do well. You are here because you can do it, so do it well.
There's a sort of murmur amongst them as they look to you, and they seem reasonably sort of pleased. I mean, you recognise some of the faces from the ship from when back before things went badly, and so you're kind of, they look at you and with a sort of nod, as they're familiar with you and they're kind of accepting. The other people are a bit like, what is she on about? There's this sort of look of, oh, okay, you know, it's the kind of new person, commanded officer kind of person trying to make a name for themselves, trying to stamp their authority kind of speech. But you know, do you want to make a dice roll to see how well you did, how well they received it?
Go for it. Sure.
Right. So you want to roll 2 dice, 2d20.
Okay.
And it's your command plus. Let me just look this up. There we go. It's your presence plus command skill as your target number. And you roll 2d20.
That is a 13, and I rolled a 15.
Right, remember you roll 2d20.
Yeah.
And a separate roll. So you want to, when you make your roll, go on the dice roller, use advanced roll, and you want to choose compounded Shadowrun style. Because that's what that's done, is that's added them together.
Yeah. I mean, can you not see the individuals?
No, we had this problem last time. It only tells you the total sum of your roll. So if you go into the dice roller, he's done it again. He's added it together. You need to go into.
I've done it as compounded Shadowrun style. I can see the.
That's weird.
So it's kind of like, I guess I'll just do one as an example.
Yeah,
It's just adding it together.
Yeah, I can see both of them.
I guess it's.
So I can see you got a 7 and a 1, and a 12 and a 15.
Well, why is it?
Yeah, it's not working. You just have to do them separately. Just roll them separately.
That is weird. Why can I not see that then?
I don't know. I'll do them separately, and I'll do this one as the one.
Yeah, okay, that's not a problem. That's really annoying.
Okay.
Right, so that's 1 success. And that's 2 successes. So you give your little speech, and everyone seems to be, they seem quite motivated, and they seem like they're not, they're going to get on board with this. So you then take yourself off, and you get in, just as you, presumably what happens then is that the captain, well, what are you doing? Are you going to summon everybody, or are you just going to, what's the plan?
I'll probably give a briefing on what we're doing to the bridge crew, I suppose, and then maybe I'll make an announcement over the comm.
Right. So, you summon everyone to the sort of conference room. You're missing quite a number of command staff at the moment, as you are supposed to be picking them up, but presumably they'll meet you en route at this new place that you're going to. The Varix 3. Presumably. Oh, when the players turn up finally. So...
Yeah, before I start, I'm just going to grab a sweet tea from the replicator.
Right. Tea, sweet. So in the conference room there is clearly you three. There's the chief medical officer who it's. Do you want to name and give some details to this chief, but the current acting chief medical officer? Give me a name, species, and approximate age.
Wasn't it a Vulcan?
Do you want the medical officer to be a Vulcan? Okay. Give him a name.
I just want to call them Sophie, which is a really stupid name for a Vulcan.
So, Faye.
Lemec. Okay, so that's L''MEK. That's Lemec. And have you got an actress in mind for this character?
Liv Tyler. Liv Tyler looks like a Vulcan.
Okay, so we've got
There we go.
the current the acting chief medical officer is Liv Tyler, Lemec. Let me just get you a little picture. Are we talking young Liv Tyler or current Liv Tyler? Or are we talking Lord of the Rings Liv Tyler?
Whichever Liv Tyler you can get your hands on first.
Well, I am on the internet, so literally any version that you like.
Yeah, just go with it.
Right, she can be. We'll go for old elf girl. Alright, here we go.
No, Steven Tyler was her dad.
You not?
No.
Neither did I.
I thought that was the most famous bit about her, but you know. There we go. And of course, there's the chief petty officer, Cheland Krav. He's there, and your science officer is in bed asleep because she's not very well.
No.
Well, that's suspicion.
FYI, chat. The chief science officer is another player character, but they are currently unavailable. So they are here in spirit. Oh, we've got a.
Might need to refresh because I can't see these images coming up.
That's because I haven't put it up yet.
Still
Oh.
loading.
There we go. Chief medical officer Lemec. There we go, and then there's this guy. And I think that's all the departments. I can't think of anybody else off the top of my head. Oh, you're... You haven't got a tactical officer yet, have you? So, come on, right. Name who's going to be tactical. He's like chief of security, or she, or they. Give me a species and an actor or actress.
Chief of security definitely has to be a woman, in homage to Tasha Yar,
Right.
but less dead.
But like Tasha Yar, but less dead. Fantastic.
Half something else.
Half Klingon. A bit like what's her face from
Torrance.
Worf's wife. Worf's not wife.
Oh yeah.
What's
oh
her
my
face?
god, yeah, someone that looks like her. Just a picture of her. There you go.
What the hell is his name? Her name even. Worf.
Oh god, it's been a while.
Alexander's mum.
Type that into Google.
Do you know, once upon a time I used to be able to recall this information. I had it all committed to memory, and I'm old and can't do it, can't even walk. Star Trek, Alexander. Stop.
She was hot though. Come on, guys.
Nothing on the Sisters of Duras, though.
Oh.
The Sisters of Boobs.
And fine boobs they did have before get blown up.
the Cleavage Sisters. Come on, chat. Can anyone remember the name of the oh, brilliant! Can anyone remember the name of someone in the chat just shouted "boob window"?
Oh, I've got it. I can't even pronounce it, but I've got it. Hold on. Kayla.
Oh, Star Trek. K. Is that how you pronounce it? There. Ooh, yes. There we go.
Shove it in the. I've written it in the stream chat anyway, just for.
Right. Okay. So that is the. What are we calling it? She's like some weird Klingon spy.
Do something similar with a K in front of it.
Kyle.
Kasha. Kasha. Just
that's too close to. We might as well just call her Keisha.
Yes, Keisha.
Brilliant.
Sorry, I'm just living my Tasha.
They're only half Klingon, so maybe it's like a compromise between the two cultures of her family.
I mean, it is very fitting for her to be attached to Narendra Station, given that there were so many Klingons and humans working closely together. So it fits with the campaign. That's not an issue. Come on, load up, you stupid thing. I can't believe we just called her Keisha. That's so wrong in many ways. I think my cat's trying to get into the room. No,
Short
cat.
for Kishara.
Yeah, Kishara.
Kishara.
Yeah, Kishara.
Okay, we have decided.
Right, cool. There we go. So that's your crew. You're all sort of sat round, and you come in and you order your sweet tea and seat yourself down. They look at you expectantly. Chief Krav shuffles nervously in his seat. Chief Security sort of tries to. She's too smiley to look mean and menacing, but she's she's a Klingon, so you know that she, at least in part, so she will rip your face off if she wants to.
You're gonna draw angry eyebrows on?
Wow.
It's just like the angry and toast thing. The cereal.
There we go. I mean, she doesn't look any more angry. She just looks like she's got two blue snails on her face.
I think she's been hitting the space weed.
Brilliant. Anyway, moving swiftly on.
Our first of many briefings together. Hello, everyone.
Lamac just sort of raises an eyebrow and doesn't otherwise do anything. The chief goes, and I look forward to many more, he says in a sort of like overly cheery, please notice me, I definitely want you to notice me kind of way.
They give him a friendly pat.
Thank you, Krav. Now we've been given our first assignment. We'll be joining the 14th Fleet under Admiral Herbert. And our first mission is nothing too glamorous, but I'm sure none of you will have a problem with that. We are being sent off to Verix 3 to offer urgent medical aid. I'll be leaning on your expertise, Lamech.
She's got her hands in her lap and she sort of looks over. You say we need to provide medical assistance. In what fashion? What are the specifications? She stares at you.
Didn't ask.
She continues to stare at you unflinchingly.
We need to be ready for anything.
Captain, that is very broad.
Oh, we'll fetch the details when we're en route.
She looks to one side and then looks back. Then I await the further specifications of what you require. She stares.
I'll
I'm
just
like-
raise an eyebrow to that. A more
It's-
pensive eyebrow.
Slightly weird being a betazoid and just getting no readings whatsoever.
That's right. It's like you're hitting a blank wall, and it's
Yeah.
as you say, it's disconcerting. I mean, you're getting waves of just nervousness from Krav, and Kashara just seems to be kind of relaxed, not particularly bothered. Not in a like she doesn't give a shit, but in a kind of like this is just business as usual for her. So she's just kind of like, yeah, she's chill.
Are any of you familiar with Varix 3?
I mean, they all sort of look at no. Like Krav goes, should we know of this colony, this planet? Is it special?
I'm happy to brief you. So, it is a Tellarite Andorian colony, a joint colony, one of the first of its kind, actually, which is why it's so important that they need to succeed.
News to me. Yes, it's very important, he says, looking at Shoshana. Yeah, the Andorians and the Tellarites, we're, from what I gather, we get on alright. Our relationship could do with some work, he says, looking at her.
Don't look at me. I'm not a typical Andorian. I get yelled at all the time about it by Mama.
He says, well, I'm not a typical Tellarite either, as you could probably tell from my accent.
We'll be just fine, won't we?
And he sort of he tries to grin, but the Tellarite faces don't emote in the same way. So it just looks like he's sort of gurning in a kind of an approximation of what a smile or grin would look like on a human or any other humanoid face. Kashara just sort of turns around and says, so this colony is a joint affair between the Andorians and the Tellarites, so they get on better with one another. What's happened to it? Do I need to worry about people getting angry at us? Or is it going to be alright?
You should probably know that it's quite close to... Did you say it was like Plaxon zone?
No. You're thinking of the Shackleton Expanse,
Oh, yes.
which is not far from where the station is. The Varix 3 is about 8 days warp at cruising warp, which is warp 6 for your ship. So it's quite a way away. It takes to cross. Right, the Federation space is. In fact, I think I've got a map snucking around. Where is it? Well, thank you very much, Internet, for failing me just when I don't need that to happen.
I think it's safe to say that we're not expecting any trouble, but it's always good to be ready. Perhaps you could do a technical analysis of that territory of space?
Right, well, just to tell you, the Federation space is basically... I'm just going to draw on the map. Here we go. So, this is Federation space. It may look like a potato, but it's not. Going this way, if you were to go across there, it takes approximately 30-something days at maximum warp. This way, it takes approximately 60 days at maximum warp. Now, no ship can maintain maximum warp for that length of time. So realistically, you want to increase your distance, your time by about, at cruising speed, probably about 1.5. So you're looking more like 90 days. So 3 months to go across the, that's the X-axis. Or is that Y? I can't remember. And then there's the X-axis that way. So you're looking at about 45 days to go across.
swear I'd be awkward and ask about the Z-axis.
That doesn't exist on maps. So you are here.
The Y-axis, but as in WHY.
You are here. Because you can tell by my amazing writing. And you are wanting to be about there, and it's going to take 8 days. Does that help? Put it in perspective. And that's at warp 6. Okay, so, and now do I delete that now?
Highlight over it and then just
Right,
delete it.
there we go. Oh shit. This is where it all goes wrong. Yep.
Not over every. Hey, you can't control C.
Oh, technology.
Now
It's-
click on it.
Well, we got rid of some of it.
If you move everything that's in the background, I'll show you how to do different maps at some point.
Yeah, I mean, basically, you know, I just am useless and don't know what I'm doing.
But also, for someone who professes a non-understanding of the multiple aspects of Roll20, you are doing a grand job, and I am very invested in the story.
Thank you.
Yay!
There we go. Who's put some red lips on him? I didn't know someone had done that. So, right, okay, so... so you finished... Is there anything else you want to sort of suggest? Right, just to do a check, are we still playing till 10:30? Right, so...
Let's go for till whenever.
Yeah, 10 I think was somebody's cut off.
Right.
It's mine because work and I don't get a break till Saturday.
Yeah, so the plan then, I presume you finish your brief. I'm trying to usher things along a little bit is all. And you all go to your basic stations. This is the first, you come out of this conference room, which we'll say is like somewhere like as in fact, where did we have... Oops, I've just drawn all over that by accident. Where is it? Let's have a look. Right, so if that is if you reverse this round, so we were facing the other way, that would be the ready room and that would be the conference room. So you all sort of come out into here, and all the usual bods that would be sat at these random stations that are in charge all get up and leave, and the command staff all to assume their positions. And this is the first time that you've all got to sit down in your respective seats since joining the ship. That's amazing.
It's all like brand new setup as well, isn't it?
Yes, you've got a brand, because it's a brand new saucer section. So you've got
The
your
leather's
seat
probably
in the
still
middle.
creaky.
You've got the captain's seat in the middle, and number 1 to the left. This is the science station. This is tactical. That's the con. That's ops. That's engineering. That's damage control. And
Damage control. We're gonna
and then
need that
these
a lot.
are random crew members that must stand to make it look busy stations.
Stuff they could be doing in the other part of the ship, but they just want to hang out on the bridge.
Yeah, because otherwise it'd look weird. It's funny because I was looking at the different bridges to sort of get an idea of what would be what, and like I did initially look at the replacement bridge would be a Voyages style bridge, but that would be too small for a ship of this size. I think that because that's got the central one sort of con in the front and one seat for captain, and then there's just limited space around for other membership. But I think that's for a smaller crew. So I thought you would have a proper big sort of bridge. That is some quality drawing. Why is the saint on the you won't know what the saint is, will you? So, you know.
I know it's an old TV show thing.
An old TV show thing. All right, my soul has left my body. It's fine. You know. I'm not old. You're all young. That's how it works.
Oh no.
Oh no! You're in crime space.
No, I just stole my body. It won't be stolen.
Right. Okay. So, the plan is, you all sit at your seats. The chief medical officer nips off.
Someone's decapitated that. Oh no, they're back.
What are you doing? What are your first inaugural words, Captain?
Alright.
You've got to brief the crew. You've got to decide what's happening. What are your inaugural commands?
Sorry. So if we open a shipwide channel.
Yep. And you hear the whistle. I'm not going to do it. I haven't got a sound effect for it either because I forgot. It sounds exactly like that.
We're about to embark on our first mission together. It's going to be a lot of fun serving with you, I can tell. Hold on to your butts. And then I'm going to close that. And then I'm going to say, lay in a course for Varix 3.
Aye, sir, says this random person at the con who has not... Do you want to give him a name?
You'd just be like hella boring and go with a Jones.
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 Right, and are they from any particular... They're going to be human?
Yeah.
It's the blandest species.
Right.
Yeah, the bland.
I'm just going to type Jones in. The first person that comes up can be the... No, Google, you're not knowing my location.
Is it Tom Jones?
Been Tom Jones.
No, it's Curtis Jones, who's a footballer. So he is now
Yes, do it.
He's now the con pilot. Helmsman is the word I'm looking for. I can't.
Curtis
You know
was
what?
my great grandfather.
I can't steal that from the internet.
Oh.
That is a very gormless looking photograph.
Wow.
Right, Curtis Jones is now your helmsman. And what's his first name?
Dave.
Dave Jones. Dave Jones. Ensign Dave Jones.
So many private jokes thrown at him.
Yeah.
My word. Of all the names you could have chosen, it's just Davy
They don't
Jones.
wear red anymore, but that's such a red shirt.
Yeah.
Ain't fair. We did come up with names for like.
But this is a tradition
and it
in
was really
Star
good.
Trek Adventures, is that you just randomly name crew members and you get to play them when you're not in certain scenes. So someone gets to play this
Someone's
beautiful
gonna be
man.
Dave Jones. He's got to be so bland. Like he's just got to be the most boring guy.
Well, you wait till you see this picture. It's just uploading now.
He's so boring. He has a digital stamp collection.
Right. Well, okay. Character notes: like stamps.
Please make that real.
Ensign David Jones. Are you ready for this?
Oh, bless it. He's even wearing a red shirt.
Oh, I love him.
Oh, look at him. He's so... Yeah. Oh, bless him.
I mean, that is. Don't blame me, chat, for this. I did not. This is not my idea. So, right, he says, "Where to, sir? Mom, sir."
Varix 3.
Varix 3, and he goes, course laden, Mom, sir, Mom.
Let's rock.
And he presses the button.
Have we got a warp down?
Woo!
Yay.
Right, I am going to take a quick 5-minute break, and then we'll return. I hope don't go anywhere. How's everybody doing? Oof.
I think they died because nobody.
I mean, you know, my voice is so engaging that I'm sure everyone's killed themselves. I'm joking. Alexander's mom has got it going on. Memory always goes out the window at old age. Hello, how you doing? Welcome, Wurlitzer. Didn't I see you last night when we played some Arkham Horror? What are you talking about? What is the cheese drill?
Oh, you missed it. You missed it. We were the cheese drill only from JML.
We were running our own ads during the ad break.
Excellent. And so one of the ads that you've come up with is a cheese drill.
Hello. Swiss cheese. It's great.
Now,
We are waiting the money.
how are people finding it? Because this is the first time I've done this like on stream. So I just wanted to know if the format's working okay. Is there anything that I could do to improve? We'll have a proper debrief at the end. But I'm just I'm very curious as to whether just this whole Roll20 thing is working okay. As people getting an idea of what's happening. It's, you know, I just don't know. It's working for me, but it would do because I'm the one running it. So, you know, I'm going to get back to the game. That is apparently a thing. Wurlitzer never realised that Steven Tyler was Liv Tyler's dad. I thought that was common knowledge, but apparently it isn't. I mean, what? You mean including David Jones? Ensign David Jones. I mean, so
He's a cracking lad.
right. So we're gonna get back on with the story. We will be playing for about another hour and a half. If everyone wants to go and get a drink, get ready for us to return. You've got booze.
Yeah.
If anybody wants to introduce themselves to chat while we're here, just to, you know, give, if you want to, you don't have to. You know, just so people get a bit more of an idea of who you are. No?
I'm green.
You're green.
Yeah, we
Not
have.
literally, but
Oh, we're color-coded, yeah.
yeah, we are color coded.
So I would say you two have more experience doing role-playing games than I do. But this is all our first time playing Star Trek Adventures together.
Yeah.
I mean, it's my first time running Star Trek Adventures, but I mean, I've been running Star Trek games since I was 12, so longer than a lot of you have been alive. Yeah, that's good 33 years there of running Star Trek in various ways and forms.
I'd have been alright to play. I'd have been a toddler, but that would have been an interesting experience.
That wouldn't be weird at all. A 12-year-old boy running Star Trek for a 2-year-old. I mean, oh God, I don't know. Anyway, moving swiftly on from that rather disturbing thought, let's get back to the game. So, you were at Warp, probably for about 3 days, and in that time, Shoshana sits down with Krav and what was her name? Kishara, or Keisha, as she's known to her friends.
Yeah.
Kesha, whatever. And so, what precisely are you going to tell them? Because Krav reveals that his family moved to Earth, and when he was very young, so he's been raised among humans.
Okay, I mean that's a good thing to start off with.
So he doesn't really know that much about. What he knows about Tellarite culture is just what his family did. He doesn't really feel a connection to the Tellarites. He's just whatever personality traits and cultural traits are just from what his parents were like. But from what he understands, they weren't particularly typical of Tellarites either, which is why they moved to Earth. Because, he kind of reveals that the humans aren't in charge of the Federation, but they are like major players. They're seen as like the dynamic ones, but they're also kind of a bit more. It's weird because like there's the Vulcans who are like the grandfathers of space, the grandparents of space, and tell everybody off for being naughty. The humans are like the naughty stepchildren, and but by that same token, they get things done. The Tellarites are kind of like the workhorses. They just do things and get on with it. But they are very opinionated, whereas the Andorians are the ones who are like dynamic because they're aggressive. Passionate is the word. They're very passionate about what they do, but quite suspicious about things and considered to be surly, but they're not really. That's just the way that people view them because they tend to be sharp with people. They're very gruff and straightforward and not easy to trust. Like you've got to earn an Andorian's trust. And they're big into family. Well, you know all this.
I'm assuming this is what I'm telling the others.
Yeah. Yeah. And Kishara sort of says, well, I've lived amongst humans and Klingons, and I've seen both sides of the cultures, and Klingons talk a lot about honor, but from my perspective, it's kind of a bit of a fiction. Honor is something that they all like to throw around as an excuse to do things, but really they're as backstabby and sneaky as anybody else. It's just ultimately they like to fight, and they're not that much different from anybody else, but they talk a big game. And that's just, that's what I think of. And humans, they're just as bad as the Klingons. They just dress it up in morality. So in the same way that the Klingons talk about everything being honour, there's no honour in that. The humans get all preachy and look down on everybody else and like to make people feel bad about themselves through moralising and over-moralising. But again, it's all just a fiction, because when it comes down to it, they'll shoot you in the back anyway. So, everyone's the same. It's her opinion on things. She's a bit...
Everyone's the same, but I think the way that each group and each person mythologizes who they are tells you about how they've come, where they've come from, and gives you that about those people.
She thinks about that and says, no one's ever sort of put it that way before, and I think that's actually probably quite accurate. She seems to see you in a new light. She's quite impressed with the way you put that. Krav's a bit like is his response, and so Is there anything else anybody wants to particularly do during these 3 days?
Sleep.
Sleep. Sleep. Right, so...
Can I check out the, we got a bar in this place.
I think you have. I think you've got a bartender who's a Bolian who looks like Danny DeVito.
Like Danny DeVito, yeah.
I'm just going to spend an evening chatting with people down there at some point.
I always say this name should be Dorito. Ah, too delicious.
Alright, I'm just getting you a picture of his name's Frank, if you recall. But it's like
he was Frank with
Frank.
K's. Was it 2 K's?
Yeah, something like that.
His last name needs to be Dorito, though.
So imagine this guy with no hair
Frank
and
Dorito.
blue skin and a strange sort of skin divide, like you could just almost peel the two halves of his skin away.
Okay.
Oh, that's graphic.
Well, I'll just find you a photo of what Bolians look like.
The Bolian hairdresser that they had done.
I'm going to just be prepping teams, make sure we are ready for anything.
So your main job, Shoshana, is while you are there, you're overseeing the replication of medical tricorders, hypnosprays, and hyposprays, and all that business, basically, and drugs. You're liaising with Lamech and her department to try and put together. So basically, it's just there's a big teams of people going full bore with the replicators.
You sure things don't break, fixing if they do, getting things moved to the right places. Fun.
It's organised chaos. Can you roll me a control? Sorry, a control plus. No, it won't be control. What we're talking about? It'd be presence plus command roll, please.
Never sit. Think, because then you make me roll for it. Okay. Oh, okay. Okay, so the presents were not great. The command is very good.
Right. Okay. So you are. So yeah, it's difficult to manage these people because there's several different departments all working together. Because like replicating's going full bore, constantly producing complicated chemicals and drugs, tends to make the actual replicators break down after a while, and then when one's down, it slows down production. But and you affected. You've done the sort of investigation side of things, and the colony when they say colony, it's not just like 2 shacks and a dog or whatever. It's quite significant. It's a massive sort of area, so they're expecting you to provide support to an area that's probably the size of like Texas, which that's what a Bolian looks like. Just in case you need reminding.
We'll need a lot of logistics going on.
That's exactly what your job is. It's making sure everything's where it's supposed to be, and it's all recorded, and you're on top of it though. You're on top of it, despite how much there's going on. You've got it sorted, and you're doing a good job.
It feels like my day job.
So that's the guy who imagine.
Need to do a face blend.
Yeah, imagine that he's blue with a weird skin split down his face with no hair or eyebrows on him, and that's Frank. Now, allegedly, looking at his records, he is actually a qualified psychiatrist, and but he's officially running the bar, which is yet to be named. So it's around 3 days later, and your chief science officer, who's filling in for chief science officer while she's unwell in sickbay. Give me what species is the science officer? What we're saying?
Chief Science Officer? I thought she was only a Lieutenant Junior.
Yeah, but she'd still be chief. Right, so it's Acacian. We're going to start as Acacian. Give me a name.
They're cat people, aren't they?
Yep.
What's
Woo!
that?
Something that sounds like a purr.
Capura.
Pura is acting. She's second in command. She's acting. Right, here we go. This'll do. I don't know if this is the worst picture or the best picture, but we're using it. Get ready for this.
I'm expecting big furry energy.
Anime cat girl. One of the two.
Is it just Hermione when she turns into a cat?
Pretty much. I don't know. Don't judge me. I literally typed in Cation and this is what came up, and I'm like, okay. And this is
like that one from
you've seen Lower
the animated
Decks
series.
and the animated series,
Oh,
yeah.
that thing.
They've been in actually. They're in Star Trek 5 as well.
Yeah, we try and forget that one.
So it's Ensign Purr.
You have to roll the R's.
Yeah, I can't do
With
that.
2 R's. 2
Oh,
R's. I ain't got wet enough lips yet.
Purr.
oh, oh.
That's the ensign there.
Oh!
So that's come from the internet. It's not like I have a store of random cat humans dressed in Starfleet
That's
I called
uniforms.
anime cat girl.
So
Chikawa.
she's sat at the station, the science station here, and she says in this very lyrical kind of purry kind of way, which I'm not going to try and do because I can't roll my tongue at all. She goes, Captain, I am getting some strange readings.
Status?
Long-range sensors are picking up an erratic warp core signature. It seems to be heading to a system which has a General Order 1 on it. And as you all know, General Order 1 is the Prime Directive, and it means don't go to this system. But then the warp signature appears to disappear.
Another trick, maybe?
If it's not a trick, and that is a warp-capable ship that crash lands on a General Order 1 planet, there is a high risk of contamination. And I feel we would be negligent in our duty to the Prime Directive if we allowed such contamination to happen.
I know you're right. I think it's just what we've experienced certainly puts me on edge.
The good news is we're not in a runabout anymore.
No, you're definitely not in a runabout anymore. Ensign Jones.
How far away is the signs?
That is a good question. I have it in my notes. Bear with me. It's about a day away at cruising speed. About 12 hours if you go
Your call, Captain.
Just wondering how much this will interrupt our operations here at the colony.
Pura says, I have calculated this, and we can afford to take this route without for only adding another 24 hours onto our journey. So it will take us...
Sure, we won't mind working a double shift when we get back.
Ensign Jones spins round in his chair and goes, Sir, do you want me to lay in the course? Don't ask me what that accent is. It's a space accent.
Well, Anya, are there any preparations you think we should make before heading off?
It's a good question, really.
It's just that all of our phasers and torpedoes are fully operational.
Some random cadet who's sat at the engineering space just chips in and goes, Sir, everything is fully operational at this time. The refit has been 100% successful. We are having some issues with connecting some of the older systems with the newer systems, but they are interfacing and within acceptable parameters.
Is Kashara her station as chief of security?
Yeah, she stood at the tactical space behind you because tactical people aren't allowed to sit down apparently.
Oh, okay. Poor tactics.
Well, in that case,
Yeah, should remember that, yeah.
lay in a course, Jones.
Aye, sir! Again, I don't know what that accent is. It's a space accent. You lay the course in, and he presses the buttons, and you head off and drop out of warp, realign yourselves, and head back off. So you are travelling for about 12 hours, and the closer you get, Pura eventually said, I've managed to... as we've approached the vessel, the signature, I can see that the warp... I've analysed the signature further, and it would appear that the warp signature is of an erratic nature, which indicates to me that the engines are not operating at 100% efficiency. The vessel appears to have stopped somewhere in this system. I'm unable to say why, but I can say that the energy readings from the warp signature were fluctuating wildly. So it could well be that the engines have just failed. This is all I've been able to discern from this distance. We would need to get closer and utilise the short-range sensors to get a full analysis.
We should proceed with caution, Captain.
I agree. Does it make sense to approach at impulse speed?
I would believe that would be the better course of action. We can slowly make our approach, just in case the ship is either damaged.
The ship drops out of warp in system, and Pura brings up the system. She brings up a map of the system on there, and and all the nice graphics sort of spin round, and like there's just a single yellow sun. And there are a total of 6 planets in the system, and they're plotted where they are. And she says, long-range sensors place the vessel, and she puts on the map. So, do you know what? I can just draw it for you. That would help. Oh, look, there's a lot of crap on there. Let's try and get rid of all that rubbish. Uh-oh, that would make me delete Ensign Jones. We don't want to do that.
It doesn't matter. We know what the characters are.
That's the sun. That's one planet. That's one planet. That's a weird, non-weird, and so they're like that. And so we go like, oops, that's not how that works. No, stop making circles appear. Here we go.
It's like a bowling ball.
This is the orbit around. It's very professionally done.
I'm impressed.
Oops. Why did that happen? That was weird. Why does it do that? Maybe it's because I've gone off the screen, I don't know. So you've dropped out of warp here. So you are here. And the unknown vessel is there. So at impulse speed, it's about 30 minutes away, something like that.
That'll give us plenty of time
He says
to consider our next move.
Yeah, it appears to be moving. Pura says the unknown vessel appears to be travelling at very low velocity, barely reaching impulse speeds. It will take several days for it to reach any of the planets at the current speed it is travelling.
That's good news.
We need
Can we keep a scan out for subspace anomalies?
I am conducting a sense sweep now. That was the computer, not her. She didn't just start making random beep boop noises. Nice yellow ball. Just so you don't forget, that's the sun. So this ship doesn't appear to be going very far at all. You can run rings around it, and she's projected a course and she's passed it on to Jones, which will intercept with it within the next sort of 30 minutes, travelling at full impulse. Because for some reason ships always take random routes. Let's get a different colour. Let's go for that one. So you're going to rendezvous with that, and it will barely have moved by the time you get there. So, are you doing anything before you approach?
So we know something's happening with that ship. Is it worth assembling an engineering party, perhaps? Shoshonis?
Yes. Sorry, on it already, trying to think.
Maybe we should wait until we know more.
Well, apparently
We
I
should
can't.
definitely be prepared.
Do you know what? I'm just going to get...
Is it wise to consider raising our shields? And that's not just considering that there's a possibility of it being an enemy trick, it's also considering that if the ship is in critical condition, there could be a chance of a warp core breach, which would extensively damage our ship if we're too close.
We also don't want whatever happened to that ship to happen to us.
Mm-hmm.
Ray shields! Yellow alert!
So you go to yellow alert.
Yellow alert. All crew, it is yellow alert.
The shields go up as you approach. Right, you can stop now. Alarm. And when you are about halfway there, Pura goes, Captain, I have scanned with short-range sensors, and I believe we can now bring up the image on the main view screen. It would appear to be a Gallo-class starship.
Cardassian?
So one of our own. Or is it not one of our own? My apologies.
Sorry, I've just got to get the door. Give me one moment.
The captain just leaves the bridge and goes down and says, "Hello?"
Into space.
Goes to make another cup of tea. Okay, Galar's.
What was that? Could you say that again? I thought it's when you said starship, is that anything to do with the Federation?
That is a Galor class starship.
Galore.
Yes, it is well known to you as a Cardassian warship.
Oh, okay. So I just I'm not big on Deep Space Nine.
Oh, yes, sorry, you haven't watched Deep Space Nine, have you?
Little bits. Sorry, guys, if that lets them down, but it's not exactly my favourite series.
Well, I am disappointed in you as a human being. That's
Fuck
not...
you, dear.
That is not true. I am joking.
Forward face is full spread. Launch quantum torpedoes.
So you're going mental, is what you're saying. Perry goes, Captain. No, it's but Keisha goes, Mom, I've scanned the ship. She's not going very far. Her shields are raised, but weapons seem to be non-functional. She's streaming air. There are multiple fractures in her hull. I can see that many of the decks are damaged, if not non-functional. I can see the warp engines are damaged, probably burnt out. This ship won't last much longer, sir. It's a miracle that she's got this far.
If life support is failing, we might need to prepare an emergency transport and have a medical team on standby.
And a security team.
That would be prudent.
On the screen, you get a hail.
Oh, we have signs of life.
And Keisha goes, Captain, we're being hailed.
On screen.
A Cardassian woman appears on the screen. She has got a scar running down the side of the right side of her face. And you can see the bridge of the ship about in front of you. It's got sparks occasionally coming out, wires falling down from the ceiling, and a beams falling across in the background. And she goes, Federation vessel, why have you raised your ship's shields? This is an act of aggression.
We mean you no harm. We just, were, being precautious. Do you need assistance?
She ends the communication.
Oh, God.
How is being defensive aggressive?
Something
I would
doesn't
assume.
feel right.
Yeah, we might be walking in on something that they don't want us to know about.
The ship, the Pura goes, Captain, the ship is headed towards. This is right. This system is the Onassis system. There is a Regulation 1 order, which means that no Starfleet vessel can enter the system. You are, of course, all aware of the Prime Directive. This means that one of these planets has a pre-warp culture. And it would seem, by my studies, that Onassis 2 would be the only planet which could sustain life. it would seem that the ship is headed directly towards this planet.
What purpose, I wonder?
While the Cardassians are not members of the Federation and are not bound by our regulations, it would be a breach of General Order 1 to allow that vessel to land Cardassians upon that planet.
Are we within tractor beam range?
Just what I was going to suggest as well.
Jones goes,
Captain.
"Not yet, sir. It will be another 15 minutes."
We should.
Would 15 minutes take us within orbit of that planet?
We should
No, sir. That the
proceed
ship
slightly.
is several days away. It's barely functional. It's pretty much coasting as it is now. Kayla goes. Kesha says, "Sir, I've scanned that ship. I'm not sure. In fact, their shields are up. We can't lock a tractor beam on them. We'd have to knock their shields out."
Bollocks. Yeah, and we can't do any transports or anything. Hail them again.
Hailing them. There's 5 minutes pass, and eventually this Cardassian woman comes back on screen. "Federation vessel. What do you want?"
I can't help but notice that your ship doesn't seem like it'll last much longer.
"This is not of your concern. We are not members of your Federation."
You might not be, but we are duty bound to protect life where we can.
She sneers. She goes, "Well, what are you going to do? Are you going to destroy us?"
That
Seems
isn't
you-
our intention.
It seems you would have our hands tied. What is it? What activity are you up to here that you don't want us to know about so badly?
Unless it escaped your notice, the Cardassian. What are they? Is it the Cardassian Empire? Is it the Cardassian Empire? Let's have a quick look. Cardassian.
Or what's left of it.
What's the Hedge? Let's have a look. Because normally it's like the Cardassian Empire or.
Union?
It is the Cardassian Union. The Union was recently at war with the United Federation of Planets.
Marin's sick in bed, isn't she?
She is, yes.
Try.
Your expert on Cardassian
Yeah.
is currently unwell. I mean, you know that they are in Federation space. They are not supposed to be here. They are technically, and they've also in a prohibited system.
If I were to threaten to target your shields and lock onto you with our tractor beam and drag you back for questioning,
Then you should know something. I have 200 civilians aboard the ship that I have personally, at great risk, rescued from what remains of Cardassia Prime. This ship is all but destroyed. One shot from any of our weapons was like the destroyers. So in an attempt to knock down our shields, you will probably kill 200 innocent souls. Children. Is
You're
this
willing
what
to
the United
risk their
Federation of
lives?
Planets is going to do?
if you want to protect those children, you'd get them off that leaking ship.
What, and pass them over to our enemies? She sort of like sneers. You must think me a fool.
Do you truly think the Federation would harm unarmed civilians?
Well, I know that you won't land on this planet because you have some regulation against it. So I know that we can land here and be safe from you murderers.
Pera, what are the chances of them being able to successfully land that craft?
Pera does a quick scan. The chances of that vessel landing successfully on that planet are 22%. There would be significant casualties.
It's a needless risk of life.
And the alternative is what? I hand over children to the Federation, who made them all orphans. You don't understand who was harmed in this war. It wasn't just faceless soldiers. There were people, families, and this is all that's left. You've caused this, and I'm doing the best I can do. And that's try and give them a life somewhere safe from you so-called moralistic soldiers. She ends the communication.
Oh, bollocks. I was going to do a roll.
Yeah, I could have negotiated if given the chance, but I
Captain,
suppose she's intent on her mission.
How close are we to Barracks 3?
You are now 7 days away.
Okay, 7 days. We don't.
Could we simply intercept them?
You mean just by putting your ship in their way?
Yeah. They can barely steer, right?
You could do that. It would
would
require a
crash
feat.
into us.
It would require a feat of an impact from your ship on their ship may well cause the catastrophic failure of their vessel.
But if we timed the transporter to the exact moment of failure...
So you want to ram their ship to
I don't know if I want to do that.
knock their shields down, and just as the ship is falling to bits, you want to try and rescue all the space orphans from being killed.
I imagine that chance is lower than 22%.
Yeah, that's not going to go very well.
Everyone could think of Prax just sat in her chair, just sort of going, maybe we could do that. And she quickly decides, no, we can't do that. That's mental.
Would it be worth sending a diplomatic party onto the ship to talk to their captain further? As fast as we could.
Well, they wouldn't allow us on without lowering shields.
I mean, if we found another place on the way or another location for them to go, and assured them that, their adults could come with, we would be careful, of course.
If only your Cardassian expert was here.
I think
Yeah,
this is an issue of trust, and we can't build any trust without assurances. Is there anything we could some guarantees we could give them so they know that we wouldn't harm their people?
Is there any other planets in the system that can sustain life but would not cause interference with the cultures on the planet?
No. This area here. Let me just find a drawing thing. There we go. Freehand. Excuse my amazing quality drawing I'm about to gonna get. This here is the Goldilocks zone. So any planets in this area are technically habitable and will support life. The problem is this once a year, this comes dangerously close to this planet, causing, and this is Pera telling you this. So when these, because they have They
Their orbit isn't strictly.
their orbits are and one's clockwise, one's anti-clockwise, and so once a year, these two planets are within gravitic influence of one another, causing massive earthquakes and upheaval on both these worlds. Now, this is just like some crazy volcano world, so no one really cares. But this is like a nice world until it gets there, and it's just wrecked once a year. And like the years are like what 500 days or something between them. But every 1.5 years, nearly 1.8 years, your entire civilization is basically wrecked. So it's not really habitable. This is the only viable option here, Onassis 2. But there is apparently a pre-warp civilization on there. But all that data is locked under General Order 1. So there's no data, but you're just not allowed in the system.
And Sampura, can you bring information about that planet? As much as we know.
Her hands dance across the keyboard, and she says, "Commander, I have scanned the planet, and it is an M-class planet. It is perfectly habitable. I can see signs of a pre-industrial society, not unlike Victorian England. There are many humanoids on this planet. It has a population approaching 500 million. The planet is approximately the size of your Mars, so smaller than Earth.
Are there any areas on that planet that are uninhabited but could sustain life?
From my scans, I could determine there are many places that the population, the Cardassians, could settle without being found. However, at some point, they would be discovered. It may be 100 years. Who knows? But once they are discovered, that will cause some difficult questions.
My primary concern right now is those 200 refugees not being on that leaky ship, whether that means they land successfully or they come back with us. Is there any way we could aid their landing somehow, at least, so that they had a higher chance of surviving?
We have to talk to them. We have to
Keisha says,
negotiate with them away.
there's nothing we can do while their shields are raised, there's nothing we can do without potentially destroying them. They would have to trust us.
How many runabouts do we have?
You have one runabout and 2 shuttles. You would have more shuttles than that because the Excelsior class starships have got massive shuttle bays. So let's say you've got 4 shuttlecraft and 1 runabout.
How many escape pods do we have?
Oh, loads. Like there's that the entire. I don't know. I can't remember which one it is. It might be. It might. I don't know actually. I don't know. A lot of escape pods, but they're used for escaping on.
I mean, we could always send them a quotation mark hostage.
I think the conclusion is we can't tech our way out of this.
Keisha goes, not without potentially destroying their vessel. I mean, she brings up a tactical display of their ship, and it's like, there's like fire and stuff coming out from it, and like this is missing, and there's like whole thing, and there's a hole there, and it looks like it's on its last legs.
And we send one more hail.
Keisha says, I'm hailing them. And the Cardassian captain comes back on and goes, Federation vessel, this is the last time I'll answer your hails. What is it that you want?
I would like to use my my negotiation focus. I can't remember which one does what.
Right, okay. So you want to roll... what is it that you're attempting to do?
I want to implore that as a mother, I understand the Cardassian ties to family, and I know how the Federation have done wrong by them in the past, with marquee incidents and such, but our only concern is that those refugees can land safely, and we just want to, even if we could maybe project a shield around them just to help their landing, or anything we could do to make sure that they landed okay.
Right, so make a presence plus command roll. And you're going to need 2 successes.
Can I help in any way? Or I've got...
I have persuasion. Maybe there's to assist as well in this conversation with persuasion, because we want to let them know that we want to assist.
Well, you don't need to, as
Captain's owning it.
Bust it.
You seem to disarm the Cardassian girl. She is she seems very, very weary. And it's almost like she just wants everything to be okay. But her personal shields are up, and she's just... She says, there is nothing you can say that will convince me that you will leave us alone. If you can give us some shuttles, we will take them down to the planet, and then I will turn myself over to you. If you agree to leave the children and their caretakers on the planet.
Are you sure they'll be safe on that planet? I mean, the inhabitants won't understand what you are.
The inhabitants may never find them, and when they do, that'll be a problem that we'll have to face. But it could be 100 years before anybody finds them. And then we can tell them whatever that we need to tell them. It's not
really...
like... Go on.
Is that really a necessary risk?
Look, I know your Federation. You shouldn't even be in the system. That's why we're here. No one will find us. No one will accidentally come across this colony. We'll be safe, finally. I'll have brought these children from disaster to safety. And I'm willing to turn myself over to you for that. To hand myself in. So you've got something to show your precious Federation senior officers.
And
Oh shit.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, could I offer to do a persuasion that to persuade the goal that if it is indeed that they're going to not trust us in any other way than other than landing on this planet, they allow us to properly assist them in inhabiting an area of the planet where there is less risk of them interfering with the other populace themselves.
She says,
should I actually roll for that?
I chose this planet out of a number of options, and the reason why this was selected at great risk to get here was because we would be safe. No one will find us. If there is no way that you can provide that security within Federation space, you just won't. You're the Federation. We're Cardassians.
Removing the aspect of the Federation for a moment, how can you assure their safety in this sector on that planet? Have you done enough research to discover whether or not there is other... Oh, somebody's screaming in the background. There are possibly other species that are in this sector that could be of danger to the Cardassians themselves.
Does my vessel look like it's in a condition to be able to adequately risk assess this whole situation? People have died to get us this far. All because of what you Federation did.
Then allow us to help you.
What,
Not
by
just under the
lowering my
guise of
shields and allowing you to teletransport us over and keep us in cells? Do you think I'm going to allow that for my children?
We're only concerned that your attempts to land on that planet will annihilate you all. We'd rather help you get the children to safety. And it's not about holding hostages. It's merely about preserving life now.
She flinches when you say that, because clearly she knows that it is a risk. And she falters for a second, but she kind of swallows. We all agreed on what we would do. We would take the risk because it was the only way. Cardassia Prime was decimated by you, by the Dominion. There's virtually nothing left. Do you think that we would travel all this way, lose so many people, and risk our own children for this one shot at safety? Do you think we would do this to families if we had any other option, any other choice? We can't rely on you. We would be illegal aliens. Somebody at some point would come and find us and try and move us off this planet. The best thing for it to happen is you just let us try and land. Leave us alone and forget we were ever here.
What do you think, Captain? We have to help in some way. We can't interfere so much as try to remove them from their vessel. We've got to use, or convince them to use, our technology to try and help them land that craft, because they're going to do it whatever, and all those civilians could die.
If we let innocent children die in the name of the Prime Directive, what would even be the point of the Prime Directive? If it is to reduce harm, then by adhering to it and creating more harm, we are already betraying the Prime Directive. Therefore, I believe we must help them land.
Perry goes, Captain, I would remind you that General Order 1 is the only regulation which is punishable by death. If Federation,
And
if the Starfleet were to learn of this situation, there would be a trial.
I'm the commanding officer of this ship, and I accept that risk.
Keisha says, I've thought about this. We could send them shuttles, and then we could. She turns the comms off. We can speak in privacy, Captain. I've silenced the comms. We could load up the shuttles with security and try and gain control of the ship from the inside. Storm them. It would be dangerous, but it may be able to neutralize the officers. I am sure the children would be kept somewhere safe. I think they will probably be out of harm's way of any such boarding action.
This is a very Worf suggestion.
I learn from the best.
I'm of the opinion that probably is not good enough when it comes to the safety of kids.
Well, I understand the need to try and take control of that situation. It could possibly lead to the death of civilians in a hostile attempt to take over that ship. We don't have many options. There is the option that we attempt to assist them to land in a uninhabited part of the planet and put ourselves at risk of being trialed towards death, or we just sit back and watch them attempt to land and potentially destroy themselves and everyone on board just for the sake of ego rather than, consideration of they could actually take the help.
Is it possible we could pre-program an autopilot route into the shuttles to go over to the ship, collect them, and then come back to us?
Kayla I think that can be done. We could override their
appropriate
controls.
Security overrides, yeah.
It's a very Romulan suggestion, she says with a smile. I wouldn't have thought that a good betazoid like yourself would have thought so deviously.
Just gonna pull a grimace.
Pyrrha sort of looks over at everybody and says, I am sure that the Cardassians may think about that themselves. They are distrusting of us, and I suspect that they may take their own countermeasures. That could backfire if they were to detect the override and neutralize it, because then they would be able to go down to the planet safely, and we may never be able to recover them again.
Is there a way that we could possibly program the shuttles, not simply the override to return to us, but in a delayed reaction to this thing shut down the engines on the shuttle completely, but only remain with life support? Something that we could only react ourselves.
Sorry, say that again.
My apologies. Apparently you don't understand an Orion speaking. Is there a way we could program the shuttle in a way that we could give them the shuttle and they could attempt to go towards the planet, but within the programming of the shuttle, the engines could be disabled and only re-engaged by ourselves, meaning only things like the life support would only be viable on the shuttle. So they would be
You mean like program them to just burn out?
immobilized.
To just burn out the engines?
No, to completely lock them down
Yeah.
for only us to re-engage. That way, they may get the impression that they can use the shuttle, but then it would shut down before attempting a landing.
It could work. It could work. You just don't know whether they would detect it or if they would, how they would react.
How would they even detect it? The ship is practically useless, and I don't know how well versed they are with this tech.
Well, the shuttles have got to dock with their ship, and then, they're going to scan them for.
They have to lower shields to dock.
You don't need to lower shields for.
No, they don't.
For shuttles to land.
It would have to be something within the programming that could be hidden, and necessarily something added to the tech to make it happen.
Do we have any cryptographers? Expert hackery dudes?
You probably have got some engineers can probably do it. Science and engineering can work together on doing something.
Creating a program within the system that is not necessarily detectable because it is just a program within
Well,
the
that's the
system
thing, though,
itself.
is that they would have difficulty in detecting it because it's a Federation system. But anything that you do to modify it is technically detectable. But it would be much more difficult for them to do it for obvious reasons.
So we could even disguise it as a different change?
So if you did a good enough job, the chances are they wouldn't find any modifications because they just wouldn't know what to look for.
It's our best bet to take control of the situation without violence.
Mm-hmm.
The problem... Keisha goes, we've got 4 shuttles in a runabout. They've allegedly got 200 children. They would discover... let's say they can fit. She puts it. She brings up on the screen a schematic of the shuttles and the runabout, and let's say the average height of a child is these dimensions, and the shuttlecraft fit 2 people comfortably with some cargo space, and you could probably fit 6 people uncomfortably. So say 15 children, all crammed in on each shuttlecraft. So you're looking at a maximum of 60 children on the shuttlecraft, and say 20, possibly more, depending on how willing they are to cram them in, so to speak. So they could possibly put nearly 100 children in one trip. That still leaves another 100 children and their crew. So, at best, you would have a negotiating tactic if you want to take those children hostage.
Kidnapping children.
That's what it would look like.
It's not being...
It's not very Federation. It's not very Starfleet, she says.
I think the longer that we talk about this, the more risk of their ship just blowing up and killing everyone on board is going to happen. So if I don't know how much worth my suggestion is, but it's if we help them land, and then we can move them. If we let them land, let them stick together, we can find them somewhere. But by letting them land and giving them each other, we give them their, trust that we will, that out of any Federation, at least, we are good ones for them. And
Purah goes, you you have raised a subject which has been at the back of my mind, is that they must know that they are the only Cardassians on that planet. Therefore, it wouldn't be too difficult for us to just transport them off once they've landed. So they must have a plan, whatever that may be.
Maybe they'll take the native people as hostage.
That would indicate that the captain of the Cardassian vessel is lying to you, and that she has no intention of landing in a remote zone and intends to land in the middle of a populated area, which would present significant difficulties. She says, with her golden eyes and a silky purring voice, which I can't do because I'm don't.
And pushes a glass off the edge of the console.
Without making eye contact as she looks.
And then shows you her arse.
Sign of respect.
So we have a few options to consider. And do we genuinely believe that this is just a mission for the goal to land these children safely? We may have to even temporarily take the goal hostage until we fully understand their situation, to allow them into an uninhabited area.
Keisha, because this is a no-win situation. We either break General Order 1, or we effectively kill some Cardassians to prevent them from doing it. And she says, really, we don't have any jurisdiction over them aside from the fact that they are in Federation space and not members of the Federation. So, Captain, this is your call. I don't think there is a good decision to be made here.
We'll respect whatever decision you make, Captain.
Mm-hmm.
Could we at least reprogram the shuttles to land in an uninhabited area? And then we'll take 100 down and we know that they're safe and not interacting with the natives. And that is at least something. And then they can either throw a hissy fit because we controlled where they landed. But the ball's in their court then, but at least we'd know that some were safe.
Parrot.
It's worth a shot.
So you want to aid them in landing, but ensure that they don't have contact with the natives.
Yes.
And then, what do we tell Starfleet? Captain.
Tell them that I made a choice. And that I am willing to suffer the consequences.
She kind of tosses her mane a little bit and says, I respect your decision, Captain. It cannot be an easy choice.
Maybe my next captain will be more of a hard ass.
Keisha goes, so we're going to give some Cardassians our shuttles to let them settle on a planet with General Order 1. And then just leave them there and tell Starfleet. Is that really the course of action you're proposing, Captain?
We haven't agreed on the plan post-landing. I'm not saying we'd necessarily dip straight away.
Well, I say we round them up. I say we beam down, round them up, and bring them back.
That might all be easier once they're already on the planet, although they are planning for that. But I guess we just have to see how good their plan is.
Still do need to make sure we get to Barracks 3 in time. The situation was described as urgent. Just saying.
We
Logistically.
just have to remember that they were going to do this with or without our help, at the risk of killing everybody on their ship.
I mean, Keisha just goes, there's a chance if we just leave them to it, they might all die anyway, and then that's solved that problem. But that's a very cynical attitude, which I couldn't possibly put forward.
And at least if we program the shuttles, we know where they're landing. They can't pull a fast one. To that degree, at least.
Per, I just say, while I don't share the lieutenant's enthusiasm for that choice, that action, you wouldn't be criticised for leaving them alone. After all, there is a General Order 1 on this planet, a non-interference. They are not bound by Starfleet regulations. And if they choose to go there, even if it leads to their own death, then you would not have done anything wrong. You would only have to have that on your conscience.
Maybe it wouldn't be wrong in the eyes of the Federation. But I would know.
And Pera goes, I agree, Captain. I too would not relish the memory of this endeavour. Jones goes, in his space accent, goes, if I may talk, Captain, we can't leave Cardassians on this planet. But at the same time, I didn't join Starfleet to kill children. I joined Starfleet to help people and to explore. So, if it's any weight, if my decision has any weight on things, I suggest that we just help them and try and hope that Starfleet understands. So I agree with you.
And if we're all in agreement, make it so.
That's what I would say.
Aye, Captain.
Keisha says, so be it, Captain. Just for the record, I have no objection. I was merely putting forward potential ramifications and courses of action. It will go on record that I fully endorse your decision, Captain. So, everyone goes about their business. You start preparing these shuttles. It takes a good solid 3 hours to get all of these ships ready. And, Shoshana stands over, does her thing as ops manager, making sure that everyone's doing what they're supposed to be doing, coordinating things. And there's like a nice montage with music in the background as you can see people doing all their business. And then you hail, when it's all done, you hail the ship. What are you telling the captain?
We're sending shuttles over to you. Please proceed to land with them.
She looks visibly shocked. You're sending shuttles over?
Yes, I will have you know, at great personal sacrifice, we cannot endanger the lives of those children.
For a very brief moment, and you know this because you are susceptible, you're an empathic person, but beyond that, you can see people for who they are. And you can see there is genuine emotion that she's stifling. Like, she's clearly been holding things together for a long time, and for someone to to do something that she never thought would ever happen. There's a moment, but it briefly passes, because at the end of the day, she's a Cardassian Gull. And she says, "No tricks, Starfleet. We'll know. If there's anybody aboard those ships, they're dead. We won't hesitate to kill them. And we will check those ships, those shuttles, 3 times. If there's anything with them, we'll know. And if that's the case, we'll tell Starfleet that you killed us." And she ends the call.
It's recorded. Do we record these conversations?
Well, I'm sure the computer keeps a record of them.
Okay, cool.
Right, so you give the order, and the ships are sent on a pre-programmed course over to the Gallo-class warship. Nothing seems to happen for about 5 hours.
So tense.
But eventually, you see the shuttles, one by one, silently leave the Gallo-class warship. And it takes them about an hour at full impulse to get down to the ship, to the planet. And then they start to come back again. And then another sort of hour goes, and then they then take off and they go down to the planet.
Are we monitoring them the whole time, so do we know where they are actually?
You know exactly where they've gone. You've settled them in a place. They didn't detect that you tampered with the autopilot. But obviously the first time they went down, they ended up in one place. But the second time, they go down to an area you weren't prepared for. Like, they must have found, they've overridden the controls. So there are 2 settlements. One that's in an unknown location, and one that's where you told them to go.
Is the other location unpopulated?
You don't know, because they used the Gallo class to create a sensory overload. So I forgot to mention that. As they're flying out, they burst the area like neutrinos, so it completely wipes out your short-range sensors. So you knew all along they had a plan. And then the second time they do it, and it's just like the sensor just rocked. And so you know where they are the first time, but not the second. And then there's about 5 minutes later, and the Gallo class just explodes. And then your ships come up from the surface on their pre-programmed flight and return back to the ship.
We should scan those before we let them on.
They seem to be entirely fine. The Cardassians played entirely straight with you.
Fuck.
So
conference room.
So it's the third act, the epilogue of the episode, and it cuts to all the command crew sat round the table once more. Oops. What have you got to say for yourselves?
How long would it take us to scan the planet? How long will the neutrino effect last?
The neutrino dispersal effect will dissipate in about 6 hours. But who knows where they are. Well, if they're in a populated area, it may be possible to find them without actually going down to the planet and scanning for them.
Have
You'd
we
have
been able
to-
to get any decent scans of like the people that live there? I know they're sort of a Victorian-ish time industrialization level.
Yeah, they're humanoid, and they are significantly different from Cardassians. That you could find the Cardassians, but it's time you don't have. You don't know what they've done to hide themselves, whether they're in caves or they're underground or something. Maybe they've become Cardassian sewer dwellers. We just don't know. The only way for you to find out what's happening is... Sorry, we're just being raided. Welcome, raiders. You are just at the tail end of an episode of Star Trek, which me and my friends are currently role-playing. So enjoy the epilogue, and but it's very much appreciated. Let me give a shout-out to Thad. I'm sure this makes no sense to anybody. You mean that's a solar system, by the way, with apparently with the football player in the middle of it. This must look bizarre because there's Arwen, a space pig man, a cat woman, and some random footballer. And a spaceship and whatever this nonsense looks like over here. But this is actually a galaxy map.
Now,
He's an ensign. This is the science officer. That isn't
Ensign
actually
Jones.
an elf. That's a Vulcan medical officer. And that's a Tellarite engineer. And that's our person. Yeah, so the ship that they are on is an Excelsior class called the Invictus. They have just dealt with some naughty Cardassians who have infiltrated Federation space to go and land on a pre-warp civilization, which they've let them do, and they're about to apologise to Starfleet for it. So enjoy it. So you sat around your conference table in just outside the bridge, and he's not there because why would you want him on board? But everybody else is. They're all here. Pura, who, yes, the Cation Catwoman science officer called Pura, she looks at the captain and says, "Captain, I think you may have made the only decision that could be made. I do not believe there was any good option. But I think you made the moral decision. And if that isn't what Starfleet stands for, then I do not know what it does stand for." The engineer goes, "Well, I wasn't really involved in everything that was happening on the bridge, but I certainly heard the rumours while we were altering the shuttles, and yes, he sort of tugs at his beard and goes, in his thick Australian accent, and goes, I which I'm not doing, by the way. It's not a decision I would like to have had to make, and I suspect that is why you're the captain and I'm a chief petty officer."
Thank you for your kind words, both of you. Unfortunately, we're going to need more than just words to get out of this one. I think
Yeah, go on.
we at least need to know more about the situation on the ground. I think it would be negligent to let Cardassians run amok and potentially interfere or oppress these native people with their superior technology. And I think at least once we know what's happening down there, we can make decisions from that point onwards.
Kesha looks at everybody and says, what do we tell Starfleet? Do we sort this problem out now? Because we don't know what damage the Cardassians have caused to that society, whether it's containable or can be repaired. Do we deal with the situation and then beg forgiveness from Starfleet, or do we report it and tell and explain to them that you had no choice? You made a moral decision, and I don't believe that any admiral would punish you for saving Cardassian children. They may ask, did you see any children? Which, of course, the answer would be no. But that's a difficult situation. But it's your call, Captain.
Like it or not, we are now responsible for whatever happens on that planet.
So
I don't know if we can warp away from that.
The Chief Medical Officer, Lemec, goes, Captain, we could infiltrate the society and try and find out what's going on from the inside. And try and round up the Cardassians while pretending to be... We can cosmetically alter people to become members of this society, if you so desire. However, I would remind you, we are supposed to be en route to another planet.
How many hours has it been since we first left?
You are currently... it's been 3 days from space dock. You've been here a total of... You're off route by 17 hours. And every hour that you spend is another hour that you're not getting to Varix 3.
Question. Mathematically, how many children did they say they had?
200.
200.
Plus adults.
Cool. Thinking about the number, how many people can fit inside the shuttles, and then how many trips they made, could we extrapolate maybe how many adults they had?
If they packed, you will figure it out. If they literally rammed the children in, they could get about 100 into each journey. So that's 4 shuttles and 1 runabout, and then adults would be the ones driving. So they've either left those behind in the Gallo class and detonated it when it's self-destructed, or there weren't that many adults in the first place.
Well, I'm thinking, if it's not that many...
I mean, you only saw her on the bridge.
It's not that... Yeah, if it's one or a few, they can't conquer an entire planet on their own.
Well, yeah, if you think about it, there's probably, at best... 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's 4, 8, 12. There's at best 12 adults and 200 children, unless they were lying.
If they're lying, that's a bigger and a different problem. But if they're not lying, and they're gonna have their hands full with children and two.
Well, yeah, 12 adults trying to manage 200 children.
It's not going to work, and they're not going to be able to conquer a town or a city.
It's not so much about the conquering, that it's more the contamination of cultures.
So, this is my out-of-character musings.
Yeah.
But you know when Para just said, maybe we should just leave. let whatever happens, happens.
Yeah.
I can't morally justify that, but God, I want to. Just be like, nope. You'd be like in the intro of X, where the ship just turns around.
Last time at Star Trek Invictus, we just left some Cardassians alone and let them die.
We'll come back in like 3 years, maybe.
Just to see whether or not they died.
Yeah. I mean, we reduced the risk of life.
So, how are you going to wrap things up? You've got to decide what you're going to do with this planet, what you're going to do about getting to Verax 3, and what you're going to tell Starfleet about the situation.
I think I'm at a bit of decision fatigue, to be honest. My brain's a bit broken.
Well, I mean, the thing is that if you want to pause and then turn it into a two-parter, because this is technically the pilot episode, I'm happy to do that.
Mm-hmm.
What does everyone else think?
I mean, my thoughts.
I'm feeling it to be continued. You know?
Yeah, it's to be continued.
To be continued.
Do we have an outro theme?
I'll just play the intro theme again.
Yes, play the theme. Play the theme.
I think our outro theme should be Voyager theme with lyrics.
No.
Oh no!
It's going to be one of those where it's basically like clip shows of everything that happened in that episode that go through the credits.
A montage of mistakes.
And the credits roll. With the camera focusing on Captain Prax as she struggles to make a decision about what to do next.
Who's doing the Picard facepalm?
Oh, what have I done?
Yeah.
I just need to rock and step over a chair.
Staring into the middle distance, hair blowing, not like a wind in the middle of a ship.
I feel like you'll cut to Kraft just like scratching his ass.
Cut to Orlania, just looking powerful as she just thinks about her decisions. Cut to Cat Lady asleep under a chair somewhere.
End of part 1. Oh, we don't need to hear that again. Right, so that's the end of, and I'll tell you, the episode title was No Good Decision.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Kobayashi Marude!
Oh, no.
So, we'll have to try and figure out when we can next do part 2, and you'll need to tell me what your plans are, because I'll need to plan the session. So, but you've got plenty of time. We probably won't be doing it again until, say, November sort of time. So, which is only a couple of weeks away anyway. So, you tell me what you want to do, and then I'll plan the session out, and we'll take it from there.
Off stream, probably.
Yeah.
Oh
I
my
mean,
God, we need more players to be crew, so that it's not just the three of us going.
Well, that's the thing.
A great idea.
Hopefully, your chief science officer will be playing next time, and I've got my other friend who wants to join, and there may be other people. Like the maximum hour table is 6 people. I think it might get a bit too noisy, but we'll see. We'll try it. So. There you go. That was episode 1 of Star Trek Invictus. No, that was episode 0. No Good Decision. Hello there. I hope you enjoyed my video, and if you did, please press a thumbs up and maybe leave a comment, because it really helps with the reach. And if you want to see future content, please subscribe. I also live stream content on Twitch under the name _Sanctorum. Thanks.